Welcome to the Pikeville City Manager's Report. I'm Jill Fraley-Dotson, your host for today's show, along with Pikeville City Manager Philip Elswick. Good day.
Hey, Jill.
A little bit later on, we're going to have Jimmy Taylor, Director of Tourism, join us. But in this unprecedented time that we're living in,
sure.
we are out of the Pike TV studio and we're in City Hall, which is a plus. We are in the commission room. And what this is really for us is a reopening of City Hall, and we're wanting everybody to know that City Hall is going to open soon, as well as city services, administrative offices, as we try to reassemble a sense of order and normalcy with a few changes. So we are here today in City Hall and are going to update our audience today on a lot of different things. Some tourism, some retail, some city services, and some good news as we move forward. So let's talk about city services reopening first, because a lot of people have questions as to how they're going to pay their bills going forward and things of that nature.
Yeah, back in March when we closed all the city facilities, we announced at that time some online platforms so that you could pay your bills, and all those things are going to continue. But the good news is June 1st, City Hall and the Economic Development Office, the app, the arena, will all be reopening at 8:30. The app and the arena will not be opening to the public yet, but City Hall and our office will be open to the public. Going back to the way we used to be, you can come into City Hall, get your permits, pay your bills. A few rules will be in place. Unfortunately, you have to wear a mask, both our staff and the public. So any interaction you have with a staff member, they'll have a mask on, so will you. And it's just a unique time. It's something we have to do. And the mayor said the other day that it was an act of kindness, to your neighbor, that you don't spread the disease, and that we're watching out for the compromised, the vulnerable. So it's just something that we have to do. Also along those lines, social distancing will be in place for staff and visitors. It will be enforced. So if you get asked to step back a few feet or something like that, don't take offense, because it's just to keep you safe as well as our staff. We'll have hand sanitizer stations set up through our offices. So of course, there's public restrooms in all of our buildings as well, so you can wash your hands, use the hand sanitizer. Also, the City Commission will go back to meeting in person with the June 8th meeting. Those meetings will continue to be closed to the public in accordance with the governor's guidance about the 10 people gathering. But they'll continue to be live streamed by Pike TV, so you can access those with the live stream link on our agenda. So we're getting back to a sense of normalcy. It's when all this started, we had to make a lot of changes, of course, and I had no doubt that we were up to it and that we would get through it, and we have, thankfully. So we're glad to be reopening and getting back to serving the public face to face that we've not been able to do for about 3 months now.
Absolutely. And we do want to remind our audience too that if for some reason you don't feel comfortable just yet coming to in person to City Hall, all of those services you can still pay your bills online, your taxes, everything like that can still be done online.
Right. There's a drop box at City Hall, so you can drop your payment in there. You can call the office and pay your bills over the phone, and of course all the online options are still available.
Yeah. So we have in the latter part of the month of May, restaurants and retail have been given the okay to open with restrictions, and a lot of our businesses in Pikeville are doing that. A lot of our restaurants have really stepped up their game as far as making sure you have outdoor space to eat. Some of them are offering dine-in. Some of them have chosen to wait just a little bit longer, and that's perfectly fine. But we are seeing a lot of those spaces reopen. Yeah.
A number of those spaces have waited beyond their deadline. I think retail was May the 20th, and some of those stores are just now opening. We've encouraged people to follow all the governor's guidance, the healthy at work rules, all of those things. There may be special rules in place at some of those retailers, and we just ask as a city government that when you visit those places, please abide by their rules. It's not a punishment. It's trying to keep you safe and their employees safe. But it's nice to see those things reopening now and people getting back out of their house and going to shop or going out to dinner. It gives us all some sense of normalcy again as we hopefully come through this pandemic.
Yeah, certainly lets us breathe a little easier.
Absolutely.
I know as I've been out the very limited amount of places that I've been, it's been nice to see that people are for the most part practicing social distancing like they're being asked to do. They're wearing their masks and they're going on about their day, and that is good to see.
Absolutely.
One thing I have told everybody too, from an economic development standpoint, I have a lot of questions about when something is going to reopen, what their hours are, if they still have restrictive hours for elderly or immunocompromised individuals in the morning. And what I tell them is that if you have a question, a lot of them have social media accounts, so they have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of them have websites that you can go to. And if if you're local and you just want to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, what are your hours or your restrictions? Are you still doing curbside pickup, which most of them are still offering that service? Just, give them a call. Check it out before you go in, just to kind of see what their rules and their regulations are, because there are a lot that are different.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that as we get into the mid part of June, that most of those businesses will have reopened, if they're planning to do so.
Certainly, yeah. That's certainly what we expect. The governor's guidance that he releases, frequently, gives the dates that those things can reopen, various types of businesses, and the rules that they need to follow. We get a lot of calls about what the rules are going to be, or whatever the case may be. We are encouraging, as I said earlier, we're encouraging everybody to follow Governor Beshear's guidance. He is privy to information that we don't have, or we encourage you to contact the health department to get their opinion about that. But we hope that everything is going to reopen. I guess we know a couple of things that won't be reopening. But as we move further into the summer, hopefully our economy will be back to the way it was.
We certainly hope so. One of the items that we have done as a city government in response to COVID-19 is to offer small business relief grants to people that have a business within the city of Pikeville, and it not any shock at all that there was an overwhelming response to that, because everybody suffers in some way.
Absolutely. When all this began, the commission asked us, especially you and myself, to look at ways that we can support the business community. So after some brainstorming, many hours of brainstorming, actually we arrived at this small business relief grant. And the city has an economic incentives package where we give new businesses incentives to locate in Pikeville, especially the downtown area. And there was some money left over in that. So we took that $40,000 and issued a call for applications for up to $2,000 per business. And it was a reimbursement grant. So it had to be for things like retail, payroll, rent, or utilities. And as you said, there was an overwhelming response. I think we had 59 applications over a 10-day period. There was many rules you had to comply with. You had to have applied for one of the federal programs to demonstrate that you're trying to help your business yourself. You had to be a small business. You had to be located in the city. And you had to have been open for a few months before all of this happened. So we had 59 applications, I think, and 55 of those met all the requirements for funding. So a committee reviewed all of those applications, the responses to data that was included in the application, like what effect there had been on your business, percentage-wise, the number of employees you had, the type of business you were, and then use that data to arrive at varying amounts of awards based on your business type. Because frankly, some businesses were affected more than others. Professional services could continue to work, whereas retail couldn't for a long time. So those awards varied between the business types. And I think we've issued all the checks now after people submitted their reimbursement materials. So it was a small way that we could help our business community. Certainly, we don't have the resources to do big grants, but any amount helped as we were moving through this pandemic.
And I think that everyone who received any of that grant money has been very appreciative.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, every little bit helps when you're forced to close, and someone says, hey, if you just do this, this is what we'll do for you. They've been very accepting and very appreciative, and we certainly do appreciate their response.
Absolutely.
And are happy to do what we've done. Wish we could do more.
Absolutely.
But
would like to do more.
Absolutely. Work has been continuing.
It has.
While we've been in the position that we've been in, you know, there are a lot of places and businesses that have been able to stay in operation, and a lot of that's construction industry. So we have still been working on our new access road to the Kentucky Enterprise Industrial Park. Our new building is on schedule and is being built there. So let's give an update like we always do, just because, you know, the road is still on target.
Right, the road is continuing at a very rapid pace.
Yes, it is.
Every time I drive up there, I'm kind of amazed at the progress that they've made in such a short amount of time. But that project has remained on schedule the entire time. It's always been planned to be constructed by September 2020, unless the weather does not cooperate, which is, of course, possible. That building that road should be complete by its deadline. And we've talked many times before about the importance of having a new road, a less curvy road to the industrial park.
Absolutely. Work on the new spec building is also continuing, so we look forward to getting that in place and the recruitment of businesses to occupy that space.
Yeah, work on that building began about 2 months ago, I believe. Of course, you know, building on an old mine site, there's issues with foundations, and you have to, you know, do some preparation for those to protect the building. And that's been the work that's been ongoing. The excavation and backfilling of that area with rock, essentially, has been completed. At the last progress meeting, which was about 2 weeks ago, the building was 38 days ahead of schedule. Hopefully we can stay on that pace, because the sooner we get the building done, the quicker we can have a tenant for it.
Absolutely.
Which is the sole point of having that building
and
there.
The end goal. Another project that is nearing completion, and we've talked about it, and there is so much talk about this particular facility. It's daily that I get questions about it. Just yesterday I had, you know, someone approached me, and it was a 15-minute conversation about the beautiful building on the mountain, on the hill, and that is going to be our Overlook Event Center at the top of Bob Amos Park. It is, we're so close, and I know I keep saying that, but literally we are right there. And are eager, I should say, to open that facility so the public can see what a gem it really is.
Absolutely, that's kind of become a new landmark in Pikeville. You can see it from all over town, and we are so excited to get that building open. Our goal when we started that project was to have the premier venue in town for various events. I feel very comfortable we've achieved that goal with the appearance not only of the exterior of the building, but the interior of the building, with the furnishings and the finishings that are in there. Unfortunately, our first events were scheduled in April, which we had to cancel because of the pandemic, and subsequently had to cancel May and June. But we are very hopeful that when we get into July, that those events will be able to go on as planned, and we can begin using the building. I mean, it's a beautiful building to look at, but we didn't build it to look at. We built it to use and to provide for the public. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a complete building or a complete project. But there's a few minor things left to be corrected from the construction, which is very routine. So as those things get completed over the next few weeks, it'll be open to the public. The road will be open. You can go see the facility, go back to the Overlook. So we're just... Personally, I'm excited to get it open.
I know you are. It is, and we all are. Every chance I get to go up and look at the progress, and now that it is, like you said, essentially a completed building, I stand there and look at it, and I think, I wish somebody else could see it. You know, but when it is time, hopefully, when we get together in July to do our city manager's report and our tourism show, we're going to do it from there. So, and hopefully, fingers crossed, and we'll have a walkthrough of the building so people can see it. A really nice way for people to view everything that's up there and the services that are offered in that area. And we talk about the cut through and the history of Pikeville and what it provides. But we, over the course of the last couple of months, as we've sat and had time to brainstorm some new ideas that we might have not had the time to do, the conversation came up about doing some history moments, some history videos that we can highlight and showcase what we have in our area. You know, I always say a lot of times when you live here and you're around it so much, you tend to forget
Right.
you know, the history and what a wonderful story that Pikeville has. And Brad Sloan and Jimmy Taylor, Ronnie Hilton, Kathy Atkins, all of our people that are really in tune to history have got together and have created a series of videos. And our first video is of James Garfield.
Right. You know, that's a remarkable story about a future president of the United States being commissioned as a brigadier general in Pikeville. And like you said, if you live here or you're from here, you tend to neglect local history. And some things you just don't know about. I mean, I've lived here my whole life and just don't know about some of the history of our area. So, as you said, this came from our brainstorming as ways to promote business, and this is a tourism initiative. So, once the pandemic's over and people can, hopefully over, and people can travel, we anticipate people to travel more locally at first. So this is a way to entice people to come to Pikeville, see our history, eat in our restaurants, shop in our stores, stay in the hotels. So the first one's out. It's called Pikeville History Moments. You can find it on YouTube. And the second one will be released in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it really is a captivating video when you sit to watch it and you learn. And what I think about as the mother of a young child, and we've, you know, been faced with homeschooling and having NTI days and things of that nature, one of my favorite things to do with her, although she's 5, is to take her to different points around town. And she found a boulder, you know, at the bottom of Bob Mavis. I didn't even know there was a plaque on it. And she's like, "Mommy, what does this say?" Yeah. So I use that as history lessons. So we have all kinds of sites like that in Pikeville that you can walk around, you know, our historical walking tour. And these videos are just going to be one component of that initiative, like you said, to remind people, to educate, and to do something fun for families, because, you know, we're going to be doing a lot as a family unit still going forward. Yeah,
and I just want to mention that those videos are done in collaboration with the University of Pikeville, Alara Library, the local Heritage Museum, and Pike TV.
Yeah, it really is an effort from a lot of people that have a strong interest in our history here in Pikeville. One thing that we've been working on, and we've talked about a lot on the show, is the comprehensive plan, the 5-year comprehensive plan that we were working on before and have continued to work on behind the scenes as all of this has been happening.
Absolutely. Our consultants have been working, of course, developing the plan based on public input, and that's really what I want to talk about. We have a survey online on social media that asks you a lot of questions about Pikeville, what you love about it, what you'd like to change, where you'd like to be in 20 years as a city. Your input as the public is vitally important to a comprehensive plan, because we're planning for you, and we want the city residents and businesses to give their input. So. In the past, we haven't had an online component to solicit input, and as of today, we've had 821 responses.
Wow.
So we have a wide array of opinions about things, and we'll be sorting through that, finding the common threads, and including those in our plan.
It really is an eye-opening experience, you know, to do the comprehensive plan and to see all the different working parts that go into creating that large document, which is what it will be at the end of the plan. But, you know, we are very transparent, and part of the survey is to gain that knowledge from our stakeholders. And I always say it's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right.
But you can't improve until you know exactly what's needed.
Exactly.
And that's the whole point of the plan. So I encourage you can find that, like you said, on our social media pages, to take that survey. And I always, when we talk about the plan, I always talk about the census too, because you still need to fill out your census. You can do it online. It's very easy. Takes less than really 3 minutes to go ahead and just fill out maybe 10 questions. But it really is something that is vitally important as to how we gain funding and grant monies and federal monies going forward for the next 10 years. And we all know that right now, in this time that we're in, it's so important.
It is. You know, the census every 10 years provides so much data to the federal government. It's the way our representation in Congress is determined. So your district can get bigger or it can get smaller through the census data, but it does dictate the amount of funding we get. Population statistics drive so much of the federal government's decision making. So if you have not done that, please log on and
Yeah.
do your census. It takes less than 3 minutes, as you said. Very simple, easy to do.
Yeah. As we look to reopen, everybody wants to know when parks and playgrounds and some services are going to reopen, and that really is a big component of our tourism department. So we're going to end our time together. I'm going to invite Jimmy Taylor, who is our Director of Tourism, to come on, and we're going to talk about some ways that you can pencil in some dates and get your family out and about.
That's right. Thanks.
So that was just a snip of what our Pikeville history moments are going to be. Jimmy Taylor, I know that you and Brad and Ronnie, as well as our friends at UPike and the Heritage Council, have worked so hard on the Pikeville history moments, and I know it's something that you're excited about. We just saw just a little tease of that, if you will.
Of the James Garfield YouTube video we have up. Yeah, Brad Sloan has done an outstanding job, and he's going to be mad at me for mentioning his name about this, but he writes the scripts, and he gets input from local historians like Rusty Justice and Reed Potter. They have a wealth of knowledge about the history and heritage of Pike County and our surrounding region. So he put this together. Pike TV has done an outstanding job with editing, and Ronnie Hilton narrates, so it really sounds like something you're going to hear from a rustic voice, and he gives good flavor to what I call the video.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
One of the best things about these videos that Brad's incorporated is the bonus content. Stuff you really normally wouldn't know about the person that we're talking about or the place we're talking about. I'll give you an example. President Garfield, the first video. Now this is not in the video, but this alludes to the topic of the bonus content, we call it. What's not widely known is President Garfield was assassinated, but what really killed President Garfield was his doctor at the time, Dr. Bell. Once he got shot, Dr. Bell examined him, and he allowed multiple people to probe inside his stomach to try to find the bullet. Nobody could ever find the bullet, so they called in Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. He had 2 years previously started working on the telephone, and he had a device that he had for the telephone where he would move over a metal object, and it would make a different noise. So it was basically the first metal detector. So they called him in to try to find the bullet. Well, when he got there, he kept running the device over President Garfield, and it was the same noise. It's just a steady noise. So nobody could ever find it, but his doctor, Dr. Bell, said it's on the right side. Well, nobody ever found it, and 79 days later, the man laid in agony, and he passed away. What wasn't widely known was the White House was the first place that got spring mattresses. So what he was hearing was the metal spring in the mattress as he was going over, so that's why they never could find the bullet.
Goodness, that's the bonus information.
That's the bonus information.
Well, we're really excited about continuing to do these Pikeville history moments and the interesting facts that it's going to bring in. Certainly will be a joy and a lot of fun. So you can find it on YouTube.
You can find it on YouTube.
And we'll be talking about them regularly on our City Manager's Report and the Pikeville Tourism Show. So I do want to talk about something very important to a lot of our residents, and that is the reopening of some of our tourist attractions and facilities. Playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, what else do we have? Trails, that sort of thing. So let us know when those are going to reopen.
We're going to reopen all of our parks, our tennis courts, our basketball courts starting June the 8th. if you're not a resident from here, what you probably don't realize is anywhere in downtown Pikeville, you have access to a park. We have 5. The city park, the park next to the Pikeville Pond. You have the mini park next to the football field at the high school. You also have the Randy Jones Park next to the RV park, and you also have the other ones at the Bob Amos Community Center right next to it. So all those will be open for the public. The basketball court next to the high school, that'll be open. We do ask that you try to maintain the 6-foot social distance, of course.
Yeah. One of the other things that a lot of people have been concerned about, which I'm thankful for, is that our recycling bins are going to be put back in their spots on June the 8th. Is that correct?
They are. Yes, ma'am.
So you can take your plastics, your cardboard, paper, that sort of thing. Just please be mindful that those are emptied every couple of days, and please don't put it around those bins, because we don't want to create a nuisance there as people going up to dispose of their goods. Tourism. A lot of people have talked about tourism taking somewhat of a hit because the people haven't been able to travel, but hopefully in the summer months, as they practice social distancing, people will be able to get out of their houses again and travel around with their families. And we anticipate seeing a trend of people staying within their state boundaries, or especially if you're in a tri-state area like we are, staying within maybe a couple 100-mile radius of where you live. And we want to make sure that the people come and visit us, that they know what we have, and while they're in our areas, that they hashtag with a new hashtag that we have, and snap and share their experiences.
The hashtag #OnePikeville, of course. Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be people staying local, closer to home. The Snap It, Share It part of our tourism campaign deals with when you're in Pikeville. Let's say that you're at the Blue Raven or Bank 253 or wherever you're at. Snap the picture, put the hashtag in, let us see your experience, and we can share it with the public.
One of my favorite things to do, and you know this, is to get on the river and kayak. And I hope that we don't have the rain that we had last year and have subsequently had this year already. But really, just to get on the pond or get on the river, to take a trip down through there on a kayak and just float during the day, really creates a sense of peace. But also, along with that, you can also get on horseback, and the barn's going to open soon.
The barn is opening soon. It'll open on June 8th as well. Dana and Keith and Allison, they do an outstanding job letting the public know where they're at, what their hours are, and all the activities that they provide up there. During this, they're going to be deep cleaning, so you'll be able to, you'll see a little difference. You should probably book an appointment early. That way they can have everything cleaned for you before you get there. If not, you can still come up. We do ask that you come in groups of 10 or less for now. Book your appointment early. And there's going to be a little difference with the kayaking this year as well. They'll provide your kayak for you. They'll take it to the river for you, but you'll find your transportation to and from the kayaks, the kayak entry points.
So just keep that in mind, and you can also just give them a call to book your appointment and to book your trip. And
606-794-9881.
Give them a call. I look forward to getting on the river soon. That's one of my favorite things, as we've mentioned, to do. Also, booking of facilities. Our facilities, obviously City Hall is opening back up on the 1st. Other things are opening back up on the 8th. But to be able to book our city facilities, the Garfield House, the recreation building at Bob Amos, that is ongoing and available now.
Our tourism department deals directly with all of our city facilities. The city maintains and oversees our shelters, which is the city park and the gazebo there in the city park. Shelter 2 at Bob Amos, right there beside the community center. Shelter 3, which is right directly past the water tower, and Shelter 4, which is across the YMCA. We also operate Garfield House, which is right beside the city park, and Bob Amos Community Center next to the track. But what's not widely known is we do have an RV park. Now, you talked a little bit about people wanting to stay closer to home. This is a great way for people to come to Pikeville that maybe live a little out of the way. And we only charge $25 for this facility. And that's a full hookup, which is power, water, sewer, cable TV, Wi-Fi, internet. It has 40-foot back ends, and it's available for 21 days at a time.
What's amazing, I was just on going up through Bob Amos Park just last week, and I was amazed at the capacity and the occupancy that the RV park had at that time. It really was remarkable, and I thought, what a great way. If you don't own a camper or an RV, then there are a lot of places that rent those that you can do. And I thought, well, what a fun thing that would be to do, to rent with your family for a weekend. And if you've ever wanted to consider buying one and wanted to see what it would be like, come stay with us, because it's a wonderful park. It's right there. You have exercise, the trails, the horses are there. The mini park, the Randy Jones mini park, just backs up right to it. So it really is a fun thing to do, and I'm glad you mentioned the RV park.
21 spots available all the time, and they're very easy to get to.
I mentioned our parks. Those parks are going to be cleaned twice daily.
Correct.
Going forward. So, and make sure that we ask that you bring, you bring some wipes for yourself. Just keep yourself clean, hand sanitizers and things of that nature, just to make sure that everybody is kept as safe as possible.
I think most people from here know how UMG cleans. And if you've ever been to the day after Hillbilly Days, it's spotless.
It is.
They do a superb job.
Phenomenal job. Yeah. We are able this year, a lot of events, most all events have been canceled, but the Appalachian Center for the Arts is going to be able to host some camps this summer, which we're really excited about.
Robin Irwin and her husband do a phenomenal job entertaining the kids. The kids love them, and it's always a fun time for everybody. And this year, like you said, it's going to be virtual.
Yeah.
Virtual camps. 6-week virtual camps for all ages beginning on June 15th. Minimum of 2 classes a day. Master classes on every Monday night, 2 to 3 hours, and it's very interactive.
It is very interactive. It's something Robin's done during our time of quarantine, as she has had storytelling nights that I have loved. My daughter has loved them. She sits there with her daughter, who's just a couple of years older than mine. But they're very innovative and creative, and come up with so many different ways to still engage with their audience. And I know these virtual camps are going to be a lot of fun for everybody. And of course, you can contact them to get set up.
Apparts.org.
Apparts.org, or just by calling their number and setting that up. We have so many opportunities, Jimmy. You and I know this, but we want to make sure our audience is mindful and completely aware that there are so many things that you can still do when you get outside, get a breath of fresh air. The track, the trail, the horse barn. The walking around town you discover a lot of different things that you would not have known otherwise, unless you put your foot to the pavement and just get out and move a little bit. So we want to encourage people to do that. We want to encourage them to be smart, maintain their social distance, wear their mask when they need to, but get out and live a little bit.
Absolutely. And you can also book all our facilities online at pikevilleky.gov, including our RV park.
Including the RV park, and for a listing of things going on, or to find out any other information, your website.
You can download our app on Apple and Android, and you can also visit us online at visitbible.com.
Lots of things to get out to everybody. Jimmy, I look forward to us all getting back to normal, and I know you do too.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, Jimmy, thank you for being here. And obviously, Pikeville manager Philip Ellswick joined us earlier, so we kind of, tag teamed a little bit today, but we are in City Hall. City Hall will reopen on the 1st of June, so we're looking forward to see everybody with social distancing in place.
Yes, ma'am.
This has been the Pikeville City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us.